Okay.
Okay. This meeting of the Design Review Board is called to order by Lori Ganell at 5:30 on December 6, 2023. I will start with a roll call. Peter Gafford.
I'm here.
Stephen Green.
Here.
Lori Ganell here. Ben Lepley, excused. Doug Taylor.
Present.
Ted Shriver.
Here.
Frank Davis, counsel.
Here.
And staff liaison.
Emmanuel.
That's me.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
And then your new member, Mr. Bob DeCruff.
And Bob DeCrow, new member.
Yep,
Okay.
just call me Bob, the last name's a tough one.
Okay, okay. Great. Now we'll do a call to the public. If there are any residents here that have something they would like to speak on that is not on the agenda, you have 3 minutes. Anybody?
I didn't see the agenda, I assume I'm on it?
You're on the agenda.
Okay.
Yes, you are. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 1, old business. I make a motion, or can I make the motion, or do I need to ask for a motion?
You can just let them know, I can let them know that the applicant was unable to, after talking to the city attorney, he's gonna revise his signs. And so he's gonna put in another application and he just couldn't get it done in time for this meeting.
Okay.
So if we could just get a motion to table it for, until the January meeting.
Okay, I make a motion to table agenda item 1, application 23-98 until the January meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. Agenda item 2, application 23-99 will also, okay, this is old business as well. Okay, so I make a motion to table this until the January meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gaffer seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. All against say nay. No nays, unanimously passes. Okay, moving on. Boy, this is going fast. To agenda item 3, application 2, oh, sorry. We are skipping ahead to agenda item 5 because somebody has an urgent need to take care of their kids. Okay, so agenda item 5, application 23-115, 12A Maxfield.
Hello. Hi. I don't know if you guys have questions for us. We sent a few explanations and emails and photos and things like that.
Okay, do you want to just speak to what your application is?
It's regarding the location of mini splits and where they were placed.
Okay,
So the mini splits were already put in and she
Yes,
received a
this is
friendly letter.
retroactive.
Right.
okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, well now, on this application, make a, declare, is this
No, this is not. It's just public comment.
just public comments? Does anybody have any comments for or against this application at this time? No? Okay. Moving on to staff comments, Mr. Ward?
I actually just got back from over there. I kind of, I got looking at their application, but, well, let me look at where that sits, and if you can see it from the street and everything. And, I agree with everything they said.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
all good.
Okay, thank you. Opening the board discussion. I believe.
I have a question about it. And I was concerned about the placement, but when you gave us the packet of new photos, it makes it clear that it wasn't the perfect location anyway. I do see work going on, and is that something that's come before DRB? There's plywood over windows or
That's
something?
from before.
That was that way when we purchased the property, and eventually, dealing with all those little exterior repairs is something that's on our very lengthy to-do list for this property, but yeah, that's just the way it was when we purchased it.
And you're probably aware that you'll have to come before,
Yeah,
unless it has come before
sure,
from
yes.
a previous owner.
Okay, anyone else have questions or
comments?
No, I saw it as well, and I agree that, that it's a necessary evil now. Mini splits is the way to go. It's a very efficient way of doing it. You can use renewable energy to power them. So I think we're gonna see more and more of them. I guess I'll be coming to the board soon with my own application for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we wish, obviously, in a perfect world, they'd be invisible, but
They're
they're
not.
not. And the solution that we had before was we just had window units hanging out of 10 windows on the building, which also wasn't beautiful, so.
Yeah, very
We were able to remove those, so the two sides that are most visible to the public, because the building isn't visible from the street, but the two sides that are most visible, we were able to remove all of those window units, so that those look a lot better than they used
Yeah.
to.
And you're facing, and it's a side that's basically facing the old school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so it
those are the only people that would be able to see it without trespassing onto
And
the
they're putting in
property.
50 of them,
Yeah,
so,
and, yeah.
yeah. No, I have no objection to that.
I have a question for Mr. Ward, if I might. Is there any impeding in the placement to the means of egress out of the unit or out of any of the units?
I didn't perceive that, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Alrighty then, if nobody else has questions or comments, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve DRB application 23-115 as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, 6 in favor, 0 against. Your application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now let's go backwards in time to agenda item 3, application 23-110-909 Tombstone Canyon. Susan Lilly. And if you can speak into the mic because it's being
I need
recorded.
to replace some siding on across the front of my house, because it's got termites and it's degraded, in bad shape. This siding was put on at one time in front of the original part of the house, which is adobe stucco siding, and all the rest of the house is stucco. And the teardrop siding that's on there, I don't like it, and it's expensive and difficult to obtain, and I don't like the look of it with the rest of the house. It doesn't seem to be consistent, or I would just assume, I'm asking for permission to stucco that. It has to come off, and I would like to replace it with stucco to match the rest of the house. And as you can, I think I have some pictures of the rest of the house is all stucco. And there's several stucco houses in the neighborhood, so it's consistent with the neighborhood. You won't really see it from the street because it's down a little bit further. You can see it walking by the sidewalk, but I still think it would present a much more consistent and appealing look. So, any questions?
No? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to any public comments for or against this application at this time? No. Okay. Moving right along to staff comments.
There was a point at which I was actually talking to Charlie Bradbury, who's got something else, what we were talking about, this using stucco instead of siding. And the design review board did make a policy, it's been probably 8 years ago, maybe 7 or whatever. But, that they were not permitting siding to be removed and stucco to be put on, because that was kind of something that was going on in the historic district. In this instance, the older part of the house does have stucco on it, and then the newer part had the teardrop siding. So I don't think that's really an issue in this case. But I did want to talk to you guys, tell you guys about that there was a policy that was adopted that that is not necessarily relevant to this case, but it just in general. I don't know if we've ever brought that up with this current board.
Thank you.
I have a comment
Yeah,
about that.
sure.
In the past too, when there's been a house that had stucco on it and there was siding coming off, the board ruled that it was acceptable to put the stucco in place. If there was no stucco and they were taking, we had an incident where somebody wanted to take off all the wood siding and do stucco, and we said, no, that's not acceptable.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Why isn't it acceptable?
Okay, we'll wait till we open the board
Sorry,
discussion.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot one thing,
Yes, go ahead, you wanna come up? Yeah.
sorry. I didn't realize, my contractor was gonna be here, but couldn't at the last minute, so. I forgot that I also, on this page here, I would like to put on a small, extension of the roof, same roofing material over that, because the rain has ruined the door and the threshold, and I'd like to protect it from the rain. So that was a little addition that's mentioned in here.
Yeah, and it was covered in your application.
Yes,
Yeah, and it's the corrugated
Same.
metal, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so opening the board discussion, go ahead, Bob, you have a
Okay,
question?
sorry for,
Yeah, that's all right.
is stucco not period correct? Or what's the objection to it?
It's not maintaining, when you take a house that is covered in, say, teardrop siding, that was originally covered in teardrop siding, and you put stucco on it, you're losing its historical authenticity in a very bad way. If it were adobe structure or something and it was stucco, then that is part of its historical authenticity, but it's not for some houses, and that we're trying to preserve.
Okay. Anybody else have questions, comments, concerns?
Well, this is a non-contributing structure anyway, right?
Yes, it is.
And as Joe pointed out, the older part of the house is already stucco. So I think it's eligible to be all stucco.
Okay, with that said, do we have a motion?
I motion that we pass application 23-110 as presented.
I'll second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, you guys have it. Your application passes unanimously. Congratulations. Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, application 23-113, 745C, Tombstone Canyon.
Hello, David Neufeld. I'm acting as the designer, conceptual designer, not the structural designer. And Chuck Mills, the owner, is here, as well as Luke Oldfield, who will be doing the work.
And Josie's here too.
And Josie Seaver, of course.
Moral support.
Okay. Did you want to explain to us what you're proposing?
Well, the packet that came out
Yes.
shows the changing of the roof to enable a additional space to be created over the existing living room. That's the biggest part of the change. There are other minor changes having to do with presently the bathroom, laundry room is narrow, yet right outside of it there's a foundation slab that we're going to use to extend the bathroom to make it actually usable. And we've simplified all the roof lines. That was the initial impetus for the design, was that the roof was this, that, and everywhere. And we've simplified the roof lines, as you can see in the drawings.
What did you mean when you said the bathroom isn't usable?
The bathroom is so narrow and has such a small shower, and the toilet is close to the wall of the shower and along, the typical make-do bathroom. It's important for the owners to have the space to actually get around the bathroom, as we would expect in our own homes.
Okay.
How, is it, do we do it for everybody else?
No.
maybe
No, we
can
haven't
look
done
at it.
everybody else yet, no, we can.
I'm having a senior moment.
Okay, thank you. So do we have any public comments at
You
this
gotta
time?
declare the public hearing open.
I'm declaring the public hearing open. Any comments for or against this application at this time?
I'm for it, for sure.
Okay, the owner is,
That's probably a good
let it
thing.
be on the record that the
Owner
owner is
is
in favor.
in favor.
You're not being dragged here.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments?
Declare the public hearing closed.
I'm sorry, I declare the public hearing closed. Staff comments?
I'm gonna remain neutral on this. I can see the, looking at the house doesn't have a lot of, it's not contributing a lot to our historic district. And I can, these old bathrooms, like you said, they're made out of porches and stuff in the past, and they don't work very well. But your job is different than that. You can
Thank you,
make your own mind up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ward. All right, moving on to the board discussion.
How, the original ridge height is, well, I can't really read these drawings.
Yeah, the original ridge height is on certainly on these plans,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I apologize when you shrink them down, they disappear.
Right, so
Uh,
the original and what the proposal?
We're raising it probably not more than 16 inches, primarily to enable there to be a collar tie and the rear roof and the front roof having the same slope, and that extended roof coming out to a point where it is not at knee level, rather than at the level where you could look out those windows and see the world.
Yeah, I'm looking at the drawing, it is faint, but I think it goes from 17 to about 18.6.
Yeah,
Scale.
exactly.
Yeah, it's not very clear.
When I was looking at the facade, and I hate to say it, but I couldn't read the smaller
Sorry.
things very well. But on the left side, there's a wing that looks like it's 1 story now. And
Correct.
are you raising the roof on that wing?
No.
So it does look like a lot of changes are happening on that side
The
wing.
right side, yes. There
Yeah.
are significant changes, no doubt. Primarily that when you consider, in order to create that, put that wall within a few feet of the current eaves of the house, we're creating, I think, I can look on here, but there's something like 10 feet of space forward and there's a beam underneath that in the living room upon which that wall will rest. And
You know when that house was built, it may be on here, but I haven't found it.
I didn't find it either.
No, and I couldn't find it. It's a non-contributing structure, so
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
Chuck,
1924.
Okay.
there you go.
Okay,
My opinion is that it looks like substantially a different house, but my personal feeling is it probably looks better after your modifications. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like that particular house, again, it's not contributing, so who would know the difference, right? And again, maybe that's only my opinion, but. yeah.
It does seem a little suburban. I hate to, I know that's not a happy word, but it just, was there a way to make it fit the neighborhood more appropriately?
Absolutely. In fact, the biggest change currently, it does not fit the neighborhood. It's a shed roof on the back, a shed roof on the front, 1 or 2 or 3 shed roofs flying off the sides.
Yeah.
The idea with this design was to actually bring it into the model of the Bisbee houses, which have to do with there be a gable roof with a small dormer. If there's a pent roof in front of the wall we're proposing, that is pretty common in second stories of houses, although there aren't a lot in Bisbee. The way I went about it was I said, how can we make this look like a Bisbee house? And as far as, I'm trying to think if there's anything suburban about it, given that I spent some of my youth in suburbia and left as soon as I could. I don't like those houses, and I don't believe this house will result in a suburban appearance.
It does sort of, I don't know, it sort of has a split level to me look, like the Brady Bunch house. No offense, but
Yeah.
but the other one looked like some kind of Malibu beach house, and so, what is appropriate, so.
Exactly, right.
Are you removing siding and replacing it, or like what's happening to the exterior? Because there's a lot happening here.
There is a lot happening. There is no siding being removed from the lower portion of the house. Obviously, once we raise it up, there will be a choice of siding, and that will inevitably match what is existing. Basically, the idea is to unify the house so that when it looks like it had always been there.
So it would be like wood.
I'm pretty sure
Wood
it's like a
siding.
horizontal shiplap or
Yeah.
whatever that stuff is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have here that the current windows and doors will be placed in new locations, so you're gonna reuse the existing?
At present, the existing windows in that second floor just need to be relocated into that section of that second floor area to the left. To the right, as shown in the plans, there's a covered porch, and that's not going to be reusing any of those windows.
And are the windows in that section going to stay? Because there's a little bit of discrepancy in the drawings for placement of windows. I don't know what, I saw the photo, it looked like it's a big double sash window, I don't know what size, but it looks like smaller windows in the proposal.
Yeah, here's something I would propose, which is to come back to the DRB when we know exactly which windows we can propose for those spaces. It may be that those windows are perfect to relocate, and in the event, what I'm hearing, or perhaps you can advise me, in the event that the choices are need for different windows or changes to those windows, if that's done prior to the purchase and installation, is that acceptable?
Could be. What are the windows made of right now?
I'm sure they're thermopane and
They,
frames?
No, they're vinyl.
vinyl.
They're really nice windows. Some of them are really nice, the ones in the bathroom are 2x4s, so there's kind of a mix, but the ones in the main part of the house are newer, nice windows.
Yeah, 2x4s sound kind of interesting. Weirdly intriguing. I gotta get that out of my sight there. So it almost doesn't, if we approve this with the use of vinyl windows, it almost doesn't matter if you come back with what you're proposing. I mean, that's, the thing we normally make judgment on is, are the windows wood or aluminum clad or vinyl, we're making or steel or whatever, but we're making a judgment on that. But if they're replacing, so I think what maybe is you're asking to do, and if this isn't, then I think it would be great to have you come back with the windows. We could modify the approval to come back with the windows, and I would like to do that, but if they're going to be vinyl, I don't see any point in that.
Because they're vinyl now, so.
Yeah. So, if you were planning on putting in aluminum clad windows, let's say that's approved by our regulations. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that one.
Well, if you're using the windows that are existing, I would just say that there's no reason for us to not approve that, right? But if you're gonna get new windows, perhaps we should see what you're gonna do.
Could
You know
that
what
be
I mean?
administratively approved?
That could be administratively approved by Mr. Ward as well.
Okay.
Just, yeah,
Well, right now, do we know all I didn't see a window schedule, and do we know what the sizes of the windows are and where they're going to be? I just haven't seen that, and it might be my old age of looking at something, but I just haven't, I see a lot of drawings of the existing, but I don't, I don't see anything calling out what these are, and is this diamond shape gonna stay?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
so that's.
sort of the, what's it called?
That's the signature.
The trademark
It's the
of that.
signature.
Well, and
As much as, yeah,
I do think all buildings tell a story over time.
yeah.
That tells a story, and, I don't know if that looks like a 1970s something, somebody's idea of a cool window, and it probably was. It sort of went really well with the Malibu Barbie, but I don't know that it goes so well with this, but if you like it, you should propose it.
Yeah.
So maybe we could have an approval, this is just me scatting, but an approval, and that we would, when they have sizes in a window schedule and a drawing showing where those go, that we could then approve that, or have that submitted for our approval.
yes. How would we
So you-
structure that statement?
Could we leave that to the discretion of the building inspector?
Thank you, that's exactly what I was
Yeah,
just gonna
Well,
say.
if they're going to change,
Yeah.
right now I don't have anything to go by.
Now, if the
And-
building inspector is not happy, then we.
Then it'll come to the
then you
board.
Raise
Yeah.
it with us.
Okay,
That'd be good.
we'll hold his feet to the
Could
fire.
could I share something with you guys?
Sure.
Yes,
A secret?
I'm looking at, zoning code 5.3.5, and that is, any existing building structure appurtenance thereto in the historic district that does not meet the requirements of the district criteria shall be considered non-conforming except for repairs and maintenance. No non-conforming building or structure may be added to or altered in any way unless the proposed addition or alteration such as removal of a modern addition and non-historic exterior wall treatments will bring the whole to a higher degree of conformity with design components in the district.
And I think that's what Mr. Neufeld was suggesting, was that
Yeah.
this brings it closer to that. But was that for the historic district or in general?
That's it for the historic district, and I wasn't disagreeing with anybody. I was
No,
just-
No.
I was just trying to punctuate.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
Also, does this meet the threshold of requiring thermal pane, double pane, triple pane, whatever is required now? Does this amount of work meet that threshold where all the windows have to be replaced?
We don't have a threshold for that.
No, you don't? It done the IBC? Okay.
so what that's essentially saying is if anything, any changes are made beyond taking away something that was put on later, they need to bring the house closer to being in conformity with the design review board.
Right.
That's for the historic district, yes.
Yes,
I think that's what he's suggesting.
And if they were replacing any windows, then they would have to meet the International Residential Code. But moving them around and remodeling with the same windows is a little.
yeah, it's a gray area.
So,
Exactly, it's less than definitive how that would fit in.
so let me ask Mr. Neufeld, if you had to do that, are you gonna make sure that the existing windows fit openings that you create for that? Because, I don't know if you caught that, but if you put in a new window in a new configuration, in a new spot, it's gonna have to be a new window, triple glaze and all that. Is it triple glaze, is that the requirement now? Two, okay, double glaze.
That's pretty standard in every.
No, I understand, but
It would be,
will
yes.
mess your budget up a little bit
No,
if you didn't.
not at all, in
Okay,
fact.
great.
Okay,
In fact, the anticipation is that everything would be the best kind of window, or, you know, if it's, they replace these better windows,
Okay.
et cetera. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think we
Okay,
can.
do we have a motion?
Should I make one up?
Sure,
Make one up.
Yeah, all right.
You don't have to make that
We
motion.
have a motion to approve DRB application number 23-113 with the provision that the building inspector will review the window submissions as the design advances, design and construction advances, and as long as the building inspector is, approves the window, it wouldn't necessarily have to come up back for us, to us.
And may I insert
Yeah,
in
sure.
there from an historical perspective rather than a building code perspective?
Okay.
Because right now he's acting as liaison here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, 6 ayes, 0 nays. Your application
Thank
is
you very
approved.
much.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, now we're skipping, just to make it even more confusing, right along to item 6. Bye, thank you. Application 23-116-203A Youngblood Hill. Come on up.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, whoever's speaking, we need you to speak into the mic. Yeah.
So we have a project where, by the way, I don't know what's been submitted. My contractor submitted all the paperwork for the permitting and the approvals and any photographs that you may have. I have a whole series of photographs myself too that I may share with you this evening as well. But it is a replacement project of a mechanical system, an upgrade to a mechanical system that was last installed in 2007. And the exterior portion of the project, which I think is the discussion this evening, is we placed the contractor placed a unit in the precise location, the exact location, the same size unit as what was there. So this is a replacement project. It's new, perhaps in the application terminology, because it's a new piece of equipment, but it's a replacement of what was there.
So the previous unit was on the roof right here?
In that exact location, yes. So I do have aerial photographs from Google Earth from over 10 years ago showing that, and there's a whole series of photographs that are perhaps there. Again, I'm not certain what was submitted by the contractor, but I think if it's appropriate or okay procedurally, I have additional photographs which I think are worthy of looking at by the group, if that's
Yes.
okay.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna, maybe I'll speak after I, I'm gonna save this last batch.
Okay.
In any case, some of those may in fact be duplicates of what was submitted. I'm certain some are new. I think I'm just going to start on your left-hand side. The two images are corner shots of the intersection of Youngblood Hill and Brewery Gulch. And you can see it is a corner lot, a corner home. And those two photographs that you've just moved show the home after the project was complete. So you can see that there's essentially no impact for the public faces of the building, of the property. And then there's a Google Earth image there, and I think that one is showing that, look, this is a unit that was in place for at least 16 years, since there was a significant 2007 remodel of the property, and that one is there. And then the other three images that are left on the head of the table there, those three there, those show obviously the placement of the previous unit. And again, the new unit is in exactly the same spot and essentially the same size as well. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's right. So again, I think I don't want to oversimplify the situation, but I think it's quite straightforward from our perspective, is that, again, and just a bit of history on that, I had hired an entity that was taking care of the permitting process and the paperwork and all that. So that's why that was part of the purchase agreement as a consumer of services. My position is that that was being taken care of by the contracting entity. So I wouldn't be able to answer particulars in terms of when and where and how all that was done. I released that sort of responsibility as a part of the purchase of the project.
Are you living in the house?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, there is another batch, depending how the discussion goes and all, I have another batch there, which I'll collect, but perhaps they're relevant, perhaps they aren't, so.
Okay,
You can wait and find out if we, I think it's illustrated very well.
yeah, we might wanna look at them. Okay, so I will open up public comment. Is there anybody here who has a comment for or against this application? No? Okay, thank you, public. And staff comments?
Can I look at the photos?
Yeah, come on
The
over.
additional ones.
Here we go. Feast your eyes. There we go. There's one.
I think, while Joe is reviewing those, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you closed that.
Yeah, we close it, yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, no, that's.
Okay, we'll probably ask you more questions.
That's fine, thank you.
Opportunity to speak. So, go ahead.
I looked at those, I looked at Google Earth before, or Street View, I should say, and I just wanted to refresh what was there. But of course, the swamp cooler was pre-existing and non-conforming, but the air conditioner is not, since it was put in recently. And there is a good place for it in the back also, but that's your purview, not mine, where they put it, but I didn't think it looked so good where it sits.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And this is a contributing structure, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, closing staff comments. Board discussion is now open.
Yeah,
Yeah, can I say one thing?
yeah, sure.
It seems to me like this was an opportunity to actually improve because I also see that there's in the back and down on the ground, a good place to put that unit where you wouldn't see it, because it is very it really sticks out, you know?
Intrusive.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr.
Well,
Taylor.
I have a question for Mr. Ward first.
Yeah.
What is the story, could you just illuminate the story of why there was a stop work order on it?
We had received the building permit. Javier and I looked at it, and I said, let's go out and look at the site and try to figure, see the appropriateness and that kind of, because it had to do with they didn't have DRB either, but we had received the building permit application, so we went out there to go look at the site, and lo and behold, the unit was already up on the roof. And the owner was not very happy with us.
Okay, and then I'm gonna ask the owner, Mr. Halchak?
Yes.
So, was this tied into the ductwork that was in place for the rooftop unit, for the swamp cooler? Is that
Yes.
why you used the exact
The
same?
ductwork is in the exact same spot, so the electrical distribution, the ductwork, the air registers, yes, that was an existing situation, and of course, I mean, not to be silly about it, but with that type of architecture with a gable on each end, it had an opportunity, I suppose, to go three-dimensionally into the attic space on the front of the house, which was absolutely not, particularly with the case that it's on a corner, on an intersection. But aside from that, that's where the ductwork was, that's where the electrical distribution was, that's where the disconnects were. I mean, it's on and on.
Thank you.
And so, again, it's a replacement of the box, if you will, that was there.
Okay.
I have a quick question, a technical question. You describe it as a heat pump. Is it actually a furnace air conditioner? Or is it heats the house as well as cools it
It is a,
using evaporation now.
it's a heat pump, and perhaps Juan is be more expert on the precise, but it is a heat pump, yes, so it
is a
heats
heat
and it
pump, so
cools.
it'll heat, yeah, it'll heat, but it's not, it doesn't have gas.
No, it's an all-electric
It's all
heat.
electric, that's really my question.
With the idea, and I don't know if this is sort of on the subject or off the subject, but the idea that in the future, I'm preparing drawings now. By the way, I'm a registered architect with 40 years of experience in the state of Arizona, including historic preservation and renovation. And I'm preparing a set of drawings now for this project for other things about this, but on that subject about solar panels, and that's the reason for going from gas to electric.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question.
To
This
be-
is an integrated unit, so it's also the air handler and the compressor and condenser all in one unit?
It is, and this was quite an expensive unit. It's probably one of the top of the line on the market is a Bosch unit. I raised that in response to your question that it's extremely quiet.
Mhm.
And so that was a consideration, that it is very, very quiet in terms of its operation. And of course, very efficient. I don't know if that necessarily applies to this discussion, but it's extremely efficient and very, very quiet.
So it really needs to be there. I mean, it'd be a horrible tear up if that thing had to be on the ground somewhere, right? 'Cause
Well,
there's
it would no longer be an efficient
Right.
unit because you would be ducting from the
Right.
ground
Yeah,
rather than ducting straight into the ductwork that was there and the main distribution box. So the main distribution box in that previous location and the new location is only, I don't know, 8 or 10 feet away inside the gable space.
yeah. Is this bigger than the evaporative cooler you had before? or-
It is no taller, it is no deeper, and it is a bit wider.
Okay,
So it is no tall, in the north-south direction, away from the gable is the same, the height is the same, and the width is a bit more.
okay.
And again, with more efficient units, the efficient units are actually larger
Yeah.
than the inefficient units.
Yeah, well, it sure is a monster, but not an easy way around that.
Well, not if you take into consideration all the ductwork that was
Yeah.
there as a part of the configuration of the home from 2007 or prior. I don't know when that ductwork was done, it's quite old.
The old unit was gas as well, right? It
No,
was
it was an evaporative
Oh, it's
unit,
just
so it
evaporative.
was water and electricity.
basically a smoke. That's what it
But
was.
I think as a part of this work, the very inefficient wall gas furnace was
I see.
removed. So that's my reference
I
to
see, yeah.
removing the gas.
Okay, thank you.
And who is this person right here? Is that you on the
No.
roof? No? Okay, that was him on the roof.
I think one was called in after.
Yeah, he was called in.
That's
later.
who he's the
That's
cleanup
another person on the
man,
roof.
he fixes all of
Okay,
it.
that was an irrelevant question.
Oh, sorry, okay. Sorry.
Has nothing to do with anything.
Okay, so if I may make a statement, this is the kind of thing we face with split units and solar collectors and other pieces of equipment. 100 years ago, somebody had to put a stovepipe up through a roof that didn't have stovepipes because that was how you were gonna heat your house. I think that this spot might be the lesser of several evils, so I think it might be the place. There's a huge reduction in efficiency running ductwork outside to meet the unit, so I think this one may be a case where that's the best place for it.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I'm sympathetic with the application and what Mr. Taylor has to say. I think that it's a good idea to go with heat pump. One in Pennsylvania, it costs less to heat lamps, in Pennsylvania it doesn't.
Can we go listen to the architects and the engineers in the room?
Yeah.
So, okay,
Okay, go for it.
anyone else have any other,
I'm happy with it.
okay, do we have a motion?
Sure. Motion to approve application number 23-116 as submitted. No, yes, as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Mr. Schreiber. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, we have 6 ayes. Your application passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving along to agenda item 7, application 23-117, 225A Youngblood Hill. Oh, yes, get all your.
Alright, so the house is sitting there, it's a piece of crap, it's falling over, all the floors are unlevel, all the siding's rotted, the roof's rotted. I'm sure you've seen the pictures, you've probably seen the house. We're gonna do a complete remodel in the house. We're gonna put a new roof, the roof's gonna stay the same. We're going to expose the front deck. Right now it's like covered in, I want to say siding, but there's so many variations of siding on this house that I wouldn't even consider any of the siding. So we want to expose the deck, make that visible from the street with some, 4x columns. Picket, all the examples are in there. And then new windows. I think the biggest thing in the application is that we are asking to stucco the house. There's a stuff in there about, replacing wood siding and stucco, but, look at the pictures, there's, which siding do you pick? There's T111 on the back, there's horizontal siding, there's vertical siding, there's, we're kind of stuck, and then, pick a part of the house, tell me which siding is which. So one of the big things with the stucco that we are pushing is that part on Youngblood Hill, the stucco more or less is for insurance reasons. Nobody up there can get insurance. It's a fire hazard. There's only like 2 insurance companies that will insure on that side of the hill. So that's the biggest push for the stucco. So yeah, full remodel, new windows, stucco, expose the deck, replace the roof with copper corrugated metal. All the roof lines stay the same. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. I would open the public comments, but there's nobody here, so I don't think that we need to stop at that one. I will go straight to staff comments.
This house is a dog. And I'm really happy to see that it's being fixed up. I do not support the stucco. I think probably cement siding would be just as fire resistant. A cement board siding, that would look more historically authentic. But it's also, you look at the house.
Yeah, we did.
But the rules have to apply to everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't support the stucco. But if you guys do, that's no skin off my nose either. But I'm just saying that I'm really happy to see this being fixed up too, because it's been an eyesore. And Youngblood Hill, yeah, come a long way, baby, like I used to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay, moving on to board discussion.
I have a question for Mr. Bradbury. Do we know any history on this building? Like, was there an artist? Because it looks like collages of pieces of driftwood or something.
Yeah, there's a bunch of collages all the way through, on the sides. We don't know much of the history. I don't know when it was built or anything really about it. But all those little collages that you see on the outside, there's a lot of that on the inside of the house. And so our approach on it is usually, the last 2 houses we've done up there, we've just gone crazy and didn't care to save anything on the inside because they were literally crack houses. This one, kind of same situation, but whoever was in there previously did a lot of little neat things inside the house that are in way better shape and done better inside. So our approach is that when we remodel this, we do everything from the outside so that way we can preserve some of the stuff on the inside. So that's, but as far as the history, I'm not exactly sure. I've heard that there was an artist that lived there, don't know when, but you know, we found some art in the house, really like weird stuff. But that's as much as I know about it. But you know, and where most of that stuff exists on the exterior part of the home is where it's the worst. You know, so outside of where the kitchen would be, which is where I'm proposing, there's like two by 3 windows right next to each other. That wall, that's coming completely down. I mean, there's no saving any of it, and that's where most of that stuff is at. So, you know, we're gonna cut off the bottom of it and try to save some of the stuff that's on the upper side of the walls on the inside.
Is there any way to save any of that exterior? I mean, is there, in case we find out that that was, you know, I don't know whom, but is there a way to save and store or anything some of that stuff?
It's a possibility that through demo, if there's sections that don't just crumble in our hands, that we might be able to cut around them and preserve those sections. Now, as far as storing them, I would have no attachment to it. I can guarantee that Mr. Conklin has no attachment to it. So, you know, but I could definitely save it and hand it off to somebody that'd be interested in it.
Maybe we can find somebody for that. I think that would be great.
From my understanding, there was, I don't know how known this guy was. You know, I think that he'd done like some video clips and really weird picture collages of like really inappropriate things. So I don't know how big he could be.
Yeah.
Maybe in the right eyes, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we can save some of it.
It looks like it's from the 60s or the 70s, all that work.
I think so. I think more like 80s, 90s is what it sounded like to me. You know, I can't remember if his name's on any of the stuff that's still there or not. But it was, to me, it reminds me of the day of, I guess, would be my parents or my wife's parents. I actually could see my wife's father being involved in that house. So,
Yes, we're being recorded.
Yeah.
that's okay.
You need not elaborate. So
Well, he was a
can we,
musician, so.
yeah, can we discuss the stucco? Because I actually, I don't love the way, and I know this is just a, you know,
Yeah, it's
a
a
model,
computer
but,
drawing.
yeah, a computer drawing, but I would feel so much better if it at least
So
looked like wood siding.
which
I'm just
picture?
looking,
Those,
I'm just
SketchUps
looking
or
at the,
Yeah, I
Okay,
gave
computer
so-
generated image,
I wanna see what that looks like, cause I actually had a thought on that,
yeah,
but I don't think it's gonna change much.
yeah.
Nope, it's already blocked. Foundation. I couldn't remember in the thing if I
Oh.
put a block foundation or a stucco
Right,
foundation.
right here.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Well, if I may comment on that, Mr. Ward and I, for quite a few months, discussed these houses on Youngblood Hill, on both sides going up, and to be able to salvage, these are some of the fire starters that we were concerned about forever. And if we could salvage some of that, I think at the cost of a stucco siding, I don't know if Mr. Bradbury wants to have an alternative as a cement siding, but I would approve a stucco siding based on the fact that these buildings in that
Go up and-
portion of the neighborhood are a detriment. They were places of crash pads and worse, and some of them, you know, they built fires inside. You know, it was crazy, and I would like to just see this brought back into the fold of residential units that are usable, sellable, all that. So I think, you know, you and Mr. Conklin should be applauded. I am willing to look the other way on the stucco issue, but that, you know, that the rest of the board may not, but.
Well, like I said, the insurance is a really big factor. There's really only two companies, and so you're, stuck between a rock and a hard place. What do you do?
Is there a problem with the insurance if you use Hardy Board?
I have no clue. I just know that it's extremely hard to get insurance over there. So, from a building standpoint, the Hardy Board also does have some fire resistancy, but it also does have seams that go all the way down every single lap, which is air induction, and fires can still be created.
Didn't we have that issue with, at the last meeting, somebody, I think it was that OK Street house, they wanted to put cement board siding on it, but you didn't think that would change their insurance coverage because it was the eaves that were the problem. Am I right about that?
Yeah, well, it's a combination, but with the eaves are a serious problem. And that's something that, they put that cement board, cornice up.
So are you gonna have a soffit of cement board or something?
Probably. We hadn't really talked about the soffits much. We're kind of just trying to get the project off the ground. But definitely the soffits, we would be doing something, whether it's wrap it with, I've done plenty of them where we're wrapping with metal, put up cement board, whatever. I wouldn't stucco them. I've had people ask me to stucco their soffits. I think that's silly.
Yeah. I think if you are doing it so that it passes the insurance company's inspection, that it's probably fine, so, yeah.
Just one, you're not changing the footprint at all?
No, we are not changing the footprint at all. All the additions that are currently there will stay there. They're not getting changed. So yeah.
And the porch isn't an addition, it's just turning in
enclosed.
it's an enclosed porch now. And you're
So
opening it up.
right now
Is that
it's an enclosed porch, but if you look at the pictures real close on that porch, underneath
Yeah.
all of those collages of siding,
right?
there's old wooden pickets in there, that would replicate just about anything else that we see in town. The house, with the blue rails that are in the pictures, that's what we're trying to replicate. But those exist on the structures, and that told me that at one time it was an open porch. And right now, to enter the house, you've got to go through a door on the enclosed porch, so now that'll all be open with a rail on each side, and maybe a gate or something like that. But it'd be a big added feature back to the house,
No, it's a non-contributing, I hear what everybody else has said, sounds like a great plan.
What kind of window material are you using?
We're proposing to use the vinyl windows that are just like the ones in the house next door. Right now, there's not really much to compare to with the structure. So that's what we're proposing.
And that would pass the insurance inspection, the vinyl?
It did on the other one.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a vinyl single hung. They're all, pretty much the same size throughout the house. They're all 3040 and 2030.
Yeah, I think the stucco is a better option for this building than trying to put some siding on it. Because all the adjacent buildings are smooth stucco.
Yeah,
Most
and
of
there's a lot of them,
And,
there's the one
I
right next
remember
door.
what it was like before,
Yeah.
and the people that lived there. So, I'm all for the application as you've presented it, but we'll see what the rest of the board say.
Was that a motion?
Okay, do we have a motion?
Well, I can make a motion now, yes, to approve application 117, 2258 Youngblood Hill.
I second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, 6 ayes have it, your application is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you. Okay, moving along. All right. Agenda item 8, approval of the November 1, 2023 Design Review Board meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 1st.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Shriver. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Okay, the minutes for November 1, 2023 are approved. Agenda item 9, discussion regarding the 2023 annual Design Review Board report. Did you put this on?
Yes, I did. And
You did.
I respect the fact, Madam Chairman, that we've almost broken a record of getting through 8 items on the agenda within an hour, so I really don't want to throw some. No, a couple of things. We did it last year, and it hadn't been done for several years, so we had nothing to compare it with. The big thing that was lacking in last year's report was the fact that I ignored all of the administrative approvals. I just went for everything that came before us.
Right.
We went. I think that I would, if assigned the task, and I really don't want the task of writing the 23 report, but if you insist, I will.
You're the best person.
So, I would.
Best remaining person.
I would spend a little time bugging Nina to ask for the whole list, because I think it's.
We do actually have a whole log.
Yeah, and
that I can send you.
I would like the 22 list as well,
Okay.
if that's available.
Yep.
Because as I say, I just went to just what we
What we
did.
covered.
Yeah, and I just completely ignored all what staff was doing, for which was a big shortcoming, because it doesn't tell the story.
Yeah.
But I was just focused on this. The other thing I wanted to ask everybody to think about the future outlook. We talked, I think at the last meeting, and I think Mr. Ward brought this up, that we need to look at some of our standards again. Consistency is always the biggest challenge in the DRB, and we said we were going to have a session. That's not going to be until January, which is fine. It's a busy time of year, but I would definitely like to address that in the outlook. I'm just going to very briefly read what we said we were going to do in 23, just to embarrass everybody.
Please do.
We
I've
like
been
that.
embarrassed all day.
We launched Divine Development Standards, the new ones, in April, which was a big deal, and we've been working to that. The board will be reviewing the efficacy of the new application packets at a future meeting, and I think we never really, did we actually take another look at that? I think
Oh, the efficacy of the
Stephen
new
wanted
packet.
I think we did take a look at it, and there was some fine tuning done.
Yeah.
Yes,
actually.
we did do some fine tuning.
we
If you
did.
look at the application now, it
has been done.
has been done.
Yeah.
Good.
And then we also,
The
with that,
process of sending.
right, and with that, we did the process where you get it
In advance.
in
Oh,
advance.
of course, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
That's
was a-
huge,
that was
yeah.
a huge
Yeah.
deal. And the last one, we said the board will increase its scrutiny of applications, which include significant modifications to existing structures, to ensure that applicants have considered the constructability of their proposed work. The board will assess whether the proposed modifications and additions to contributing structures will necessitate demolition of key components such as roofs and walls, and whether projects should include demolition permits.
And then
I
came
think
the
we-
chocolate factory.
Well, I think that might have been stimulated, I don't know where it came. But anyway, I think it's worth just sort of thinking about that. I mean, that was the kind of future outlook for last year. Or for this year,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to come up with some other ideas that we can, to improve what we do, suggestions are very welcomed, and maybe we can discuss it at the January meeting, by which time the report will not have been completed. Doug, I'm sure you can, think about that. Well, that would be helpful. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Only waste of 5
Thank you
minutes.
very much.
Peter, there's one thing that I have noticed, just in the last year, is we haven't got plans on the back of cigarette packets anymore.
No.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
that's
that's
gone.
really great.
And people coming to the floor and saying, well, what we applied for and what you've got in front of you is this, but we've decided to change it all completely.
Yeah,
That isn't happening either.
I think the sneak previews that we've had, I don't know what sort of feedback,
Yeah.
because we don't CC
Right.
all.
I usually get a good amount of feedback, and then I go back to the applicant and kind of break it down of exactly what they need, and I think they're understanding more now when I give them specifics of what they need. I think they're understanding more now, and I think they're coming to understand what we're actually looking for.
The instructions are very specific anymore.
Right,
Yeah.
like I tried to narrow them down so much that they have to either comply or we won't even accept it now.
I see, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and that Maxwell Street project really, and you know, it was the 11th hour, but it really came in with, we didn't even really need to, it could have been administrative.
Unfortunately, yeah, even though I requested those,
No, I
sometimes
understand.
I do give them a time frame, but then I also tell them that if they get it to me right before the meeting that as long as it's hours before that I can get there, because I do try to give them enough leave time, but sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Well, I'm talking about the fact that they knew to come in with those, you know, photos.
Well, we talked about it, and I told her
Yeah.
that it'd
No, I
probably be
figured-
better if she
yeah.
had something that was a little bit more detailed. So I was appreciative that she did that.
Yeah, I felt that meant the system's working, even if we get it right before the
Right.
meeting. It wasted their time, but didn't waste Joe's time, so.
Right,
you know,
right,
I like that.
yeah. But I think that the consistency of not accepting it at the get-go with not all the stuff has been a real big help.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it's fantastic. I think everything's working great.
I would agree.
So I've got a couple of questions.
Yes,
Again, I'm new here, but with the open meeting laws, how do I, let's say, dig into the experience of some of the people here? Things like, why are vinyl windows sort of, not favored?
Well, we can discuss that at the work session that we're gonna
Yeah.
have.
Oh, you're gonna have?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we're gonna set some policies, and vinyl windows is one of the things that we're gonna look at, set a
Okay.
policy for,
Yeah,
and be
then-
consistent.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
The other thing I'm questioning, and I think you've struggled with it, new technologies. Mini splits are not that new, but they're sure coming
Yeah.
big time in business.
compared to 1890, they're really new.
Yeah, they're really good. And now they have do-it-yourself, so that's why we're seeing
Yeah.
a real
Oh,
influx
yeah.
in these.
Yeah.
And they don't know to come before, that's an
Sure.
issue, is the education part of it. They don't know
Right.
to come before us.
Right.
And we might even have to amend our standards to cover
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
and that's just one example, but siding materials, materials are coming a long, long ways.
Yeah. But we can't always, we have to look at it from a historic standpoint.
Sure,
And I will tell you, Bob, because, and this is a separate thing, Mr. Ward is our resource and enforcement person,
yeah,
and he will be able to give you anything you need, but we put a lot on him and on Javi
Hobby, yeah.
Rodriguez, who's also works with him,
mhm,
and on Ms. Williams, because she is the Wendy of our Lost Boys.
She's, wait a minute, I'm not a boy.
Well, I wasn't talking about us being the Lost Boys. I was talking about
Oh,
the Lost Boys being the contractors.
the contractors, yeah, okay, thank you, Wendy.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure.
All right.
okay.
But there's a,
The work group, that sounds really,
it's gonna be, this is the first time I think we've done this in a
And,
few years.
I think since we finalized the standards.
Oh,
That's
right,
right,
right, so it was last year, yeah.
And we're all learning all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
that's why there's, 7 of us, because, everybody brings something different to the
Sure.
table, and, yeah.
And weirdly, one of the things that's fun for everybody, I think, including us, is that to see the workaround, to see what kind of creativity people
Yeah,
bring
right.
to these, here's a box,
right,
and then they
they say, well, I wanna punch a hole here and I wanna do this, and if it fits what we think is the regulations, it's fantastic. But it is, the creativity of the human mind is, just to get out of a trap or get out of a configuration is amazing.
And we do have to be sensitive to technological advances and, you know, eco-friendly systems like solar panels and, you know what I mean, because the world is moving on.
Yeah.
But without destroying the charming historic character of our town.
Yeah.
And
So,
the other thing we do not consider, or should not consider, is economics. So we have to, that's why the vinyl windows always come before us, is they're the cheapest thing, they can get them tomorrow. They can't get the Anderson wood windows for 6 months, and that will affect their whole project. But we can't live by that. It's sort of like your poor planning is not our emergency.
I think that it'd be interesting to bring up about the vinyl windows, because they've certainly come a long ways, and there's different types of vinyl windows in construction. So I don't think they're, you know, I often hear you denigrate them, Doug, and I don't think they're as bad as you know, it's vinyl, ooh, it's awful. I don't think that's the case anymore. So I think it really, we need to take a good look at them.
Yeah,
because
you're
they
right.
are very, they've improved them tremendously.
I would agree.
Yeah, they used to, just the sun would warp them.
Yeah, well, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, not to drag this on, I know everybody wants to get home, but I've seen a couple of rebuilding projects, like the one on Clausen that Tom Susser just did. They can be extremely expensive and prohibitive because of some of the standards. Now, you know, don't get me wrong, but there are, you know, my neighbor's house is just falling down. And I think people are not, they don't want to buy the place because they can't afford to restore it exactly to the standards. So I don't know how you deal with that, or if you can. But, you know, in some respects, people are shying away from building a very nice house that, you know, as true as possible to Bisbee, but they can't afford it. And meanwhile, we have these shacks around town that are just horrible. So what's preferable, right? So somewhere, there's a, you know, a practical standpoint.
Well, that's sort of what we were getting at with Mr. Bradbury, was that
We're kind of way
Yeah.
off the topic.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So-
That's all.
My favorite thing is going on.
Yeah.
Excellent subject matter for our.
Yeah, that's-
Absolutely.
work session.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and if there's any future agenda items.
I only have
suggestions-
one comment as staff.
Okay,
I just want to say I predicted that we probably would be at 120, application number 125. We are right now at 121. So I think before the end of the year, we might just make my prediction of 125.
Yeah.
high five.
Yeah.
Just saying.
High 125.
What did you have placed in this bet?
Nothing really.
Oh, man.
See,
You
that
blew
was
it.
your
You blew
mistake.
it.
That was my
This
mistake.
was your
Should have
big
made it
chance.
interesting.
I
Have the
know.
chance. Okay, so if there is nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make my statement.
Oh, yeah, so I'm so sorry, I know. Look at
Yeah, I
skipped
forgot.
right over you.
I forgot Mr. Ward was part of the staff.
I know. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say was that with the annual report for mayor and council, will they have, they're not gonna have questions, I guess. I would like to have values on those so that mayor and council can see how much money was spent on these projects, what the values are. If we can sum those up, I think would be helpful. And
I
it would
can
be
help with
impressive
that.
to them, I know
I'll
it'll
do
impress
that.
me too.
Oh, because when you get the building permit, there's a value on it.
We have those numbers, yeah, we have those
Yeah,
numbers.
so I can get this for you.
Oh, wow.
And could we,
And
I know
everybody
about
came in
the word.
tonight with a picture of the neighbors' houses that they had stuck on them or whatever. Remember, please, it doesn't matter what those neighbor houses have on them.
No, it
Because they
doesn't.
didn't have to necessarily meet the standard that we're meeting today. And the current standard is the ones that we're legally obligated to uphold. And the windows, the vinyl windows, that with the new code is going to be adopted here in a matter of weeks, there's going to be a standard that's adopted having to do with fire. Because those vinyl windows melt, the windows fall in, the fire jumps into the house from a neighboring structure. And so that's also going to change a little bit. And not that that's gonna affect you guys, but it's gonna affect our district because it'll help to keep it from catching on fire. Everybody complaining about, you know, we're hearing about they can't afford a district standard. Well, the current values in the historic district are pretty steep right now. So that really fortifies our position of that can't afford isn't a district standard. That's what I had to say today.
And look, and there's my house right there. Is it? Yeah.
Well, now we all know it's on film. May I just ask, in those numbers that you're talking about, could we summarize the stop work order costs and penalties that are also involved so that?
I will do my best.
Thank you. I always know you do.
I will do my best.
I think too, the other thing we've got to promote the message to people is that if you live and buy and live in a home that's in a historic district, you have a responsibility to uphold the historic district.
Right.
And that's something you should consider before you buy the house.
Yeah.
And maybe we get the local realtors involved in this. They were interested in the new guidelines when we were doing that, and we wanted their input and everything, and we produced the pamphlet and everything that they give out now.
Yes, we do give, and we give those out when new customers come in for new sewer, you know, what new customer, but turn over the house, we make sure they get that pamphlet.
Right, so
We
if
also
they sign
have
up for
the
the
title
city
company.
services, they get one.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, if we can get that message out so that that's given to them when they're showing them the house they're going to buy in the historic district, and say, hey, you know, if you buy a historic district, there's guidelines straight away, so that there's none of this, oh, we had no idea when we bought the house that we had to do this.
Some realtors will be reluctant.
Well, they might be.
I'm just saying.
Being a realtor myself,
Yeah,
if I
but-
fail to disclose something,
Yeah.
and they all know,
They know.
then that's going against
We
their
do really
creed.
need to stick to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to get back on
yeah.
Yes.
the, wrap it up here.
Okay, so shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gaffer seconds. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, this meeting of the Design Review Board is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Go ahead. It moved when I